ladies and gentlemen, this is Nite of Misfortune bringing you yet another replay for the Match of the Week series. Now, last week I have kind of, if you've noticed, not put out a video, kind of, sort of, maybe, possibly. That was because A, I was pretty busy, I was actually out of the country, and B, there was actually one replay submitted, and actually the match that was chosen was from that week. This is by far the best match that was submitted. There wasn't a whole lot of matches in these two rounds because there was a player dropout. In any case, that's probably not important for you to know, but let's go ahead and get to this game. So this is a round 4 match between Alphahex and Hope. This first game is obviously on Finn's Revenge. Now, Finn's Revenge we talked about last time, but I'll quickly mention again that this is the most hated map with a ban rate of 75% and a pick rate of 25%. I think people really don't like this map, and maybe if you look at the faction pick and win percentage, you might know why. I still don't really agree with it. I think we need more of a data set, but right now 75% pick rate for Aeon with 100% win rate for Aeon. Like I said, there aren't a whole lot of matches played. That statistic is also for the tournament that we've had over in December. So, you know, we'll see as this number grows. Hopefully Finn's Revenge will be played more, but let's go ahead and jump into this game. So I'm paused at 5 seconds. Let's go ahead and pause in 3, 2, 1, go, and let's introduce our players. Man, I haven't casted in a long time, but in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the return of our player from last week, or from 2 weeks ago, but the last cast that I've had. It is Mr. Hope, spawning as the orange Cybern commander, and already popping down an air factory. His opponent in the top right-hand corner, our brown Aeon commander, with the name of Alphahex. He is getting a land factory, it looks like, building up his energy generators. And let's see what this map brings us. Finn's Revenge, obviously very, very close quartered map, which makes obviously rushes very, very deadly. However, we have seen a bit of different strategies on this map. We have seen Cybern, I believe it was Cybern, I think Cybern versus Cybern Navy play, which was very exciting. Here we see Hope going out with 1 air, 1 land factory. I don't know if I necessarily agree. That's going to become my thing. I don't know if I necessarily agree with going air on this map, but we shall see. It's not as effective in this map because what is air useful? It's useful for harassing. If you have got an advantage, you can harass all of your opponent's mass extractors. But if there are no mass extractors to harass, these are basically the only ones that you can harass out on these islands, then it's not really that useful because your opponent can just log down most of the ones with 1 anti-air tower here, and effectively early game you will shut down that air. So, which is what Finn's Revenge really comes down to. Alright, so Alphahex is doing a semi-aggressive build, well, actually pretty aggressive build with these Shadjas. Hope does see these coming, so maybe he will make some adjustments. But Shadjas are obviously very, very deadly, especially when you push out with them early on, as we've seen actually Alphahex do before. We do see an anti-air tower come out too for Alphahex. Gonna lock down these planes down even better. And these Shadjas are probably just going to wait until, you know, he has maybe 10 of them. And we've seen this strategy quite a lot from Alphahex. Of course, it was modified. He can do this even quicker. But he is building a 3rd land factory here. And just slowly pushing into his opponent's Cybern's face. Meanwhile, Hope is gonna try and expand. That's the one thing that air allows you to do quite safely, is start to expand. But once again, there isn't a whole lot of these expansion points on this map to really make air worth it. Now, yes, he can harass a little bit here right now, maybe pick off a Shadja, but really that's not, at the end of the day, in my opinion, worth it if you have an air factory instead of a land factory, which could have had 4 loyalists, which could have been probably a little bit more useful against these Shadjas than these planes. So meanwhile, so far I should say. Both commanders and both armies have been sitting in their base. Hope is choosing to get loyalists, which I do believe is actually a pretty good strategy against, or a pretty good counter pick against early Shaja play, because they are able to get into their opponent's face and try to neutralize those Shajas. It looks like Alphahex is beginning to push out with his commander. We're going to see him come over to the opposite side of the mirror. And looks like Hope is doing the smart thing here, is positioning his units very, very wisely, his air units I should say, to have a flyby over his opponent's army if one should be necessary. Hope finally made his way to the island over here, already got one mass extractor, so we can firmly say that Hope is well ahead on mass at this point. Meanwhile, Alphahex is still being a little bit hesitant about pushing out. He wants to build a radar to see what his opponent is doing. He actually has no idea what Hope is doing because, except for air, so he just wants to get an idea of what kind of defenses his opponent has set up for him. So that radar comes out. He sees that there's quite a bit of land and probably going to wait at least until the Shajas come around here and join his main army. He is building quite a bit of anti-air. Let's see if he's going to mix in one of his mobile missile launchers that he likes to do, and we shall see. So, as I said before, both of these players are very, very good. I think Alphahex needs no introduction. He's pretty well known around the community. He took 3rd place in the OSS Winters Open, and Hope is a pretty good player. I have played with him a couple of times and I've heard very, very good things. Shajas are starting to fire on Hope, however. That is not a good idea, or not a good thing to for AAC to be taking fire from Shajas. They can drain your health quite a bit, but that did allow the loyalists to make their way up to the front of the line and start to focus down some of these Shajas. Now, I'm not sure why he queued the loyalists to go back, and now the loyalists are out of firing on the mass extractor. That is one thing that I really don't like about this game, is the auto fire, and actually Hope deciding to push back, pushing his commander under the water. I think he might have elected to retreat here because his AC was so low in health, but he really had to do that to get the loyalists up into Alphahex's face. However, as you can see, it is very, very difficult to not get your ACU killed, as this is what is happening. This is very, very close game. These Shajas are trying to hunt down Hope. I'm not sure why he stayed around as long as they did. And this is where the Shajas are just great, because they can just park themselves on the coasts, and actually the loyalists are not even going to get them with returning fire. So that is why Shajas are so great, and Hope might have actually known that, and that's why he chose to go air. See, things are making sense. Things are making sense. However, I've also seen more standard games played where there are no Shajas, and overall I think it's an interesting matchup on this. So Shajas are definitely a good tool on any map. Do give you a very deadly advantage, but I'm not sure. Maybe Brackman probably outranged them, so that's probably a good pick. However, Alphahex is now pushing onto his opponent's land half, I guess, while and already building a 4th land factory, while Hope, oh well, he has queued up 2 more, so he's going to be on 4 here too. But it's so difficult to counter these Shajas. You're basically going to need to run these loyalists up into your opponent's face, and hopefully they do enough damage before the Shajas can focus fire enough on your army. Trading fire a little bit more. Alphahex just bringing his Shajas to the front of the line, and gonna try and pick off some of these, or that mass extractor in the front there, and surely enough it does go down. Meanwhile, Hope is just barely finishing up his 4 fourth air land factory. Building some MMLs, very smart decision. Let's see if he also gets missile launchers on his factories. He does have a radar up here, which is actually a very good idea on this map in particular. Does he have two? Is this a second? No, I don't think that is a radar. It's a very good choice because A, it gives you vision, and B, it actually has a fairly good coverage for this size of map. So it's a very good play. I believe he saves like 40 mass on that, so it's definitely very useful. Gonna build a PD under this shield here. And meanwhile, these Shajas are going to start firing on that, and of course the PD goes down and just gets one lonely shot out on that forward Shaja, which doesn't even go down, unfortunately. There's Bada Booms coming out now, which are also very good, and mobile missile launchers, which are going to help Alphahex push down this turtle, essentially, is what it is now. That PD is starting to shoot on the army. He's going to take down one unit, just that anti-air missile. Mobile anti-air. Jeez, I'm struggling today with my words. But 3 units actually go down, and that PD is still good. That shield just barely went down, and that PD is at half health now with the help of Hope's ACU, which is doing a marvelous job of repairing. However, that mobile missile launcher is now starting to do work on it, and surely it's going to do very well, even with this ACU. He might need one more MML, which, does he have another MML? It looks like 2 of something is firing. I don't see that. Oh yeah, he does have 2 MMLs, so that is going to be enough. But the shield comes down. How annoying is that from Hope? Gonna keep this turret alive as long as possible while he's gonna try and amass a unit number. Now in this situation, there's really only a couple of things you can do. You can try and go for jump jets, which will allow you to jump and basically take out these Shajas very quickly before they can get enough fire onto you. The power of Shajas is because they're like artillery, but they shoot straight and they shoot very fast, so their shots are pretty much unavoidable. So they outrange and do massive damage to your opponent before you can get to their face. But if you minimize that walk, essentially, you would be able to obviously have much better chances of taking them out, especially when they're on the run like this. Now, so actually this is a fairly good attack from Hope. He's going to be making his way right over Shajas, and this is where you see that the Shajas just completely start melting, because once you put your loyalists into your opponent's Shajas faces, they go down very quickly. Now, the unfortunate thing here is that the loyalists are target firing structures and probably the ACU here a little bit before these Shajas, so unfortunately they're not able to pick off as many of these Shajas. Still though, we see that Hope made a very great play. I think he amassed a very good number of loyalists to start attacking. Now he's going to continue pushing here, which I don't think this is the best time, even though he does have this air force to support him. There is, again, like I said, 2 anti-air towers that basically lock this whole thing down. 4 loyalists, 5 loyalists, 4 loyalists now, a turret of loyalists, is not going to do much against shields and 4 Shajas. 4 Shajas are going to be way more than enough. I think a much better thing would have been to just sit back a little bit, try to amass a little bit more of an army with at least a third more of loyalists that he has here, and maybe shoot with MMLs far. I believe these MMLs outrange these Shajas. However, it is always a risky proposition, but essentially he wasted a little bit of his army for not even taking out, maybe he took out a Shaja. Let's see, there's a carcass. It looks like a Shaja here, I'm not too sure, but very difficult situation. Meanwhile, there is a force of anti-air. This is a very curious composition, but a very smart composition from Alphahex, because over the water, what's the only thing that's going to contest you? It's air, and he has plenty of anti-air here, and just a couple of Shajas sprinkled in here and there. He's going to be taking them around the base, as we can see here, and going to try and take out. Now, Hope is trying to build a PD here, but Alphahex is going to say, I don't care about your PD that you're building there, and I'm going to go just straight around. He's going to start taking a little bit of fire on this, on his units, but they're going to be shooting on these anti-air tanks, and that's not going to hurt him much. Alphahex, I think, is going to quickly realize that he doesn't have much hope, no pun intended, to attack straight into this position here with just, I believe that's like 6 charges here, and he's going to pull back and going to start to initiate his flank. Meanwhile, his opponent Alphahex is doing a very good job kind of expanding off of this first failed initial push by getting an additional research station, actually 2 research stations, and an additional a land factory. So now he is up to 5 while his opponent is on 7. But, you know, charges are as always great. Oh, there's an 8th one coming out. That's going to be quite difficult. And actually, Hope has managed to build a research station of his own on this little island. And these 2 mass extractors are going to start getting veterancy, and they're going to get much, much better with time. As always, now Hope decided to let these charges through completely. Now that's going to be very, very good for Alphahex, because he's going to start taking out some of Hope's main mass extractors here. Let's go ahead and speed this up to 2 + 2, just so that we can, I think both of these players are kind of waiting around. Well, right as I say that, Hope moves out. And I don't know, he's being very hesitant about what he wants to do with his army here. Now, a really smart thing to do is to realize the weakness of Shajas in this particular situation. Of course, their damage is high and their range is high, but their rate of fire is fairly small. So if you get them to target fire something else, and then you push out your army, for example, this mass extractor, he takes a shot, and then you push out with your loyalist. That would be a very nice micro from Hope. Unfortunately, he's just putting his army ahead of that mass extractor at the wrong time, and he's losing quite a bit of a loyalist there. Meanwhile, Alphahex has realized that his opponent has been splitting his army, so he is going to push out with his main force here. Definitely a smart idea. We did see an upgrade on these loyalists go down, and we do see jump jets on those units. And here you see Hope doing exactly what I stated a couple of seconds earlier, but unfortunately for him, Alphahex now has teleport, which is a very, very deadly thing to have as a Aeon. But not necessarily to assault your opponent head on, because again, he has Shajas in the bulk of his force, so, and they're not very good at direct assaults. However, they are very, very good at harassing around, like just like he's doing with his force here. And Alphahex somehow knows that there is an expansion here and is going to go ahead and take that out. Doing a very good job teleporting. Now, teleport is very useful in this case because he can just keep teleporting his Shajas back and forth, and actually very, very good micro from Alphahex, and Hope is going to bring his main army over here and go directly into those Shajas' face, which is very, very good. More teleport back from those Shajas and keeping them alive very, very well. Meanwhile, these loyalists are managing to stay alive for quite a bit of time. There's going to be probably another teleport. Yep, there it is, into the center of the base. That is probably the best place for them because, again, these loyalists unfortunately target down structures first, and those shields are actually going to be so good here. Hope is being very, very smart and actually taking his army around, but Alphahex has researched electroshock on his P-gens, and that is going to make very, very short work along with these charges of these loyalists here. So that expedition has only managed to take out 1 mass extractor. However, it is a core mass extractor, so that is a very, very good for Hope. Meanwhile, he is pushing out with another force here, but I am starting to worry a little because his forces are definitely dwindling here. You do not want to be assaulting Shajas like this, especially with teleport and shields over here. That is very, very bad as Hope's army melts away. Meanwhile, Alpha's force in the north has managed to take out that expansion, and that's, you know, RP after RP, so that's definitely not bad for Alphahex. And he has actually chosen to protect his ACU and just get him out of trouble under the water. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 factories for Hope here, and Alpha has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So a little bit ahead. This is not gonna do enough. However, we do see a unit detonation, which is another really good thing to do against these shotjes, especially because teleport is not too quick at getting these units out of there. So even if Alphahex chooses to get them out, it's not gonna be in time. Let's see if there's another fly-in and detonation. Nope. Alphahex doing a very, very good job microing, and this ACU is very dangerously close to death here as structures start to go down, and indeed that ACU does follow. So very good and interesting game. I think a very educational game at how to basically counteract the what your opponent is doing. I think both of these players did a very, very good job kind of picking strategies to counteract what the other one was doing. You know, jump jets, structure detonation from Hope, and teleport from Alphahex. So Alphahex is gonna go 1 game up here in game 1 of this round 4 match of the Serpents Championship Series League, and I will be right back with game 2. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everybody, to this second game in the match between Alphahex and Hope in the round 4 of the league. We are going to be jumping into Emerald Crater. Now, this is a map that we have not seen before. It's a very, well, I wouldn't say very, but a larger map, probably on the very larger scale, I guess. But as we can see, it's been pretty evenly picked and banned. I would actually say it's, you know, one of those averagely played maps, but nevertheless, I still haven't cast a game with this map in that matchup, so this will be interesting. So the pick rate is 37% roughly, and then the ban rate is 44%. Well, not much, but a little more evenly split on this map. As you can imagine, with a larger map, UEF is going to be picked a little bit more because of their supposed air superiority. So we see UEF with 33% pick rate. However, unfortunately, until this, well, this statistic is before this matchup, but 0% win rate, and for Cybern we have 50% pick and a 100% win rate. This is going to be a UEF versus a Cybern game, so we'll see if Hope manages to get rid or raise the UEF's win percentage on this map. So let's go ahead and jump into the game. I have it paused at 5 seconds. I am on game speed 3, just because it is a larger map. It's probably going to be a longer game. So let's go ahead and jump in 3, 2, 1, go. All right, in the top we have our orange commander. You can probably guess his name. He's starting with a air factory. We have Hope spawning on top as his UEF commander, already queuing up a second air factory here and queuing up quite a bit of mass extractors trying to move forward. His opponent on the bottom, the return of the brown commander. We have Alphahex spawning as the brown Cybern commander, also building up an air factory and queuing up quite a bit of eco as well. Obviously on this map you want to start queuing up your economy, so because you want to take as much space and try to not fall behind in air. So what that allows you to do with all this expansion is that these games can go into the experimental length territory, I suppose. First scout is coming out for Hope. He's going to see that his opponent has elected to go air. Some players think that, you know, as UEF, your opponent is automatically not going to go air. But in this case, Alphahex is definitely going to try and contest the airspace here. And if he's smart with his anti-air placements, one thing that Cybern is very good at is getting those adapters out to help out those Geminis. Now, if these Geminis are able to survive, they are obviously much better than Wasps because they can do some ground fire as well. Alphahex and Hope are going to be expanding towards the front a little bit here with their ACUs, which is what you want to be doing on this map. And actually we see a very smart decision from Alphahex. He's going to bring both of his engineers over here on the left hand side and going to start building up a base here. Actually another radar station coming down here, and 2 more engineers he's going to be sending up here, and probably going to be doing the same thing over here as well. So that is going to create that anti-air coverage that we just talked about for his Geminis to be a little bit more safe. And at that point, again, Geminis are just way better than Wasps. Wasps are good because they're one purpose and they're very good at taking air out, but adapters are also very good at taking out air. And if you can negate the Wasps with adapters, your Geminis again are going to do massive work against your opponent. So far though, Hope is out producing his opponent. He does have quite a bit more planes, and this lonely little bomber is not going to do enough damage to take out this mass extractor. Alphahex is not going to bother bringing his planes just for one bomber as yet. He's just going to bring in his ACU and probably going to start repairing this because that's just going to shut it down completely. There's a research station coming out for Hope, which is also another thing that you probably want to do. We see over here Alphahex has not built a research station yet, but he is focusing a lot on expansion, so that is a very good decision. We already see anti-air coming out, so that is just going to make his Geminis very powerful here in mid-game against any kind of land forces. Which, to be fair, it doesn't seem like Hope is going to be electing to produce much land. He's going to be building 2 more air factories, which are going to make his mass production even better. So let's see if Alphahex is going to throw down another land factory. He is actually going to be queuing up a research station, and he does have 2 land factories going down. Well, actually one is already built, and probably going to start building adapters. Well, first he's actually pushing out with loyalists, which is a very good idea here because again he sees that his opponent does not have very many bombers, so he's just feels very safe, going to take out this radar. Radar falls very quickly to that loyalist fire. Now let's see, there's a really good split here from Alphahex. Going to keep those loyalists alive even longer, and the bombers are just barely making their way over here, and Alphahex essentially gets a free mass extractor. And let's see if he can get the second one. Yes, indeed, he's going to get the second one. However, Hope is doing a good job rebuilding over the wreckage. Wow, these loyalists are still alive. Are going to try and take out another mass extractor, but not with that engineer healing them. There's actually a PD going down here. That was a very big step to take against 3 loyalists. Gosh. And we actually see AC-1Ks starting to be built here. Well, for some reason the game is bugging, but it can only basically be an AC-1K at this point. So we're going to see experimental gunships come out here. Now, let's see. Now, of course, gunships of any kind are very good at sniping and very good at taking out bases. Now, AC-1Ks are actually even better, obviously, because of their range. They actually outrange these adapters. If microed properly, they can basically remain unharmed against them. And so we'll see how that plays out. Of course, you do need a little bit more of a critical mass of these AC-1K terrors. And he does actually elect to push out with his terror and kind of go directly over those adapters. Meanwhile, the Geminis are making their way over here, not target firing the Wasps, which might be very bad because, well, actually no, there's more adapters back here, and I would say probably actually it looks like more Wasp fell there than Geminis, even though these adapters were not shooting too much at the beginning of that fight. Probably would have liked to see a lot of these Wasps are also in very low health territory, and meanwhile Alphahexes are not. That is very curious. 2 terrors out already here. Another small expedition is going to make their way over here. He does have that one lonely MML, which is going to slowly start doing work against that base. Meanwhile, it looks like the main engagement will be here. Hope is building nothing but air at this point, so Alphahex does not need very many land units to basically cause damage very, very well here. Another point defense coming out for just a little force. Probably not a very good utilization of mass at this point, but you gotta keep protecting your massive structures. There is another very big engagement of air here. This time the terrors are getting focused down, and it looks like, wow, decisively winning air there for Alphahex. And once you lose air as a UEF player, that really spells trouble for you, because while any other faction can continue building up their air force and have both land and air fire, UEF cannot do that, because you have to produce wasps and you're losing out on air. So at this point, it is going to be very, very difficult for Hope to come back, especially because he did not build any land. Any AC terrors he builds are going to instantly vaporize, and any wasps he builds are going to take a while to amass enough damage to take out these wasps. And Alphahex is slowly starting to work on Hope's ACU, and this ACU is actually going to go down, and that is going to be game 2. Alphahex, very impressive to, I would say, more on the shorter side of games for Alphahex, but very good choice of strategy and very impressive use of, the Cybran's planes here, which were able to use his adapters as covering fire. So let's look at the league table really quick, as we always do at the end of this week. So not much has changed here. There is, a few up and down arrows, but I think it's still very, very close. Alphahex pulling out, still our #1 player, with Vanity a little bit behind. Now he does have one additional game on Vanity, and he's ahead. So I would say Alphahex is firmly in the lead as of round 4. We do have, I believe, 8 more rounds, or maybe 9 more rounds. So anything can happen. I believe Hope was actually first good game that Alphahex has played against. And we see on the bottom there's a lot of changes in the league table, and some surprising faces at the bottom of the table as always. And we do see a little bit of a shift around in the middle of the table too, with Little Road dropping down, but he hasn't actually played, or sorry, she hasn't actually played anybody since round 2, so she only has 3 games, and Morgan Ra is also at 3 games. So there are a couple of contenders for Alphahex, so we'll definitely keep an eye open in the future, and hopefully I will get to cast those good games amongst the leaders in the future. Unfortunately, those are probably going to be the games that are going to be prioritizing from here on out, unless there's just a super good game against with people from the bottom of the table, just because the competition at the top is going to be more fierce, and also obviously the stakes are higher there, because the points that you get from being higher up the table are obviously higher. But nevertheless, this again, thank you all the players for playing in these 2 rounds for the past 2 weeks. And again, there's been only 1 replay for these 2 weeks because I've been out, and really there hasn't been that many games. And even if I wanted to cast another game, I don't think I would have had the time to do it today. But I will be back next week with hopefully another replay of the week. And if you do want to submit a possible match of the week, go ahead and do that. I do prefer that they be, maybe like a best out of 3. Best out of 3 would be really fun, but a best out of 2 is fine too. Or if you just send 1 match that was really amazing, go ahead and send that to me by my email, or shoot it to me via Discord. That works as well. And then finally, please, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe this video. my channel, I guess, subscribe, and let me know if you've enjoyed this video. Check out some of my other videos. Again, this is not the only topic for my videos. I am going to be doing a lot of different games, not all strategy games. So if you're interested, you know, in Star Wars or games like XCOM, check out some of my other videos. I also have a D&D group that I am running, and I've just started posting videos for that. So if you're into D&D, go ahead and check that out as well. Finally, join my Discord and subscribe to my Twitch and my Twitter if you want to see updates for various videos that are going to be coming. All right, thank you very much everybody for watching. I will see you in the next video and the replay of the week next week on Sunday. Peace.